playoffs of the Forge of Champions. It's all come down to this, and I'm very excited to jump on into the action. Of course, I'm Dalsy, joined by my beautiful co-casters tonight. Of course, I've got Tig here, Mr. Celtic Tiger, as well as Sin, whose name I'm going to mess up. Of course, it is Acer. Acer?
Icer.
Icer? I messed it up?
Yep, Ice is nicer.
Ice is nicer?
Hey.
I love it. There we go. That's perfect. Gentlemen, it has been a 8-week journey to get to the playoffs, but we are now here. This is what all the teams have been playing for. Of course, the opportunity to be crowned the Forge of Champion to get to this stage. But it all starts, of course, with a playoff bracket, which we'll go through in just a little bit. Ty, you've been on the desk for almost all of it.
Yeah, around a lot.
You've definitely seen at least every quarter-final stage, I think, of the tournament. What's your general thoughts of how, I guess, the scoring tournament system has gone?
I mean, what I love is that we've had 4 different winners, so you've seen a lot of different teams show up at different stages. Like we saw Diabolus started out really well, then other teams kind of figured out what they were doing, started beating them out, then it was Enclave and Excel near the top, and then for the 4th one, you had Misfits kind of return to Premiership form. So I like how each of the scoring tournaments has showcased different team strengths. Yeah,
absolutely. That's been a really cool thing, and you were mentioning about the fact that it's almost kind of shown the level of competition here between the top 4 teams is really high.
Although Enclave's made pretty much all of the finals, it's still been who can step up and compete with them in those finals. There's been different members throughout. You've seen 2 finals, of course, with Excel, and now one with one and the last one with Misfits as well. Misfits stepping up huge. So excited to see if we see somebody else step up this time around, or whether we'll see kind of that same old, maybe Excel come back into it again and get that another final, that best of 3, so to speak, with the finals against Enclave. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, if you're just joining us and you don't know exactly what's going on, of course, this is the start of the playoff stage. And if you haven't already, you really ought to go follow us on Twitter so you can find out all the extra information that comes with Forge of Champions. They give good brackets. They give good memes. You need to also follow @Excoundrel because he then mocks the memes. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship that we've got going between the LVP. It's beautiful. But of course, the hashtag is Forge Knockouts if you want to get involved in the conversation, as well as heading on over to Twitter and tweeting at us. Any tweets that you use with the hashtag or at LVP UK helps us then get those tweets onto the production, onto the broadcaster. Then we can, kind of have that discussion going in the community. And of course,
very light discussion.
Light discussion. I mean, it's been pretty fun. And of course, if you've missed any of the scoring tournament, then you need to head over to LVP UK on YouTube and check out all the VODs, check out the upsets, check out the highlights. We've got all the highlights going up as well from all the 4 scoring tournaments, so that you can kind of get yourself re-educated or up to date with how everything has gone so far.
So just before the stream, some of the amazing highlights there's been even just recently in the tournaments. And, like I was mentioning, one of my favorite moments is a Rifty 3-man knockback with a Camille hook shot. It's something I'd never even seen before, so there's definitely a lot of things to go back and look upon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think what the UK scene isn't lacking is unique champion interactions that you wouldn't expect from any other competition, but you can find it here.
Yeah, no. You can find a lot of things here, Tig, and that is just one of the maybe good things.
It's damn entertaining.
It's entertaining things, that's for sure. All right, well, let's look at how the tournament has progressed so far. Let's bring up the circuit points, the scoreboard of all of the 4 scoring tournaments, and find out who our top 8 teams are competing in the playoffs of the Forge of Champions. There you go. You have it on your screen. In first is Enclave with a whopping 11,500 points. They secure the first European Masters spot based on coming first over regular season in circuit points. They are through to the EU Masters. And after that, I guess the seeding kind of develops as you may expect. Excel in second. They were definitely one of the teams that were predicted to win the regular season, if not the playoffs afterwards. Misfits Academy, a 3rd place. Finish, Wind and Rain 4th. Then Diabolus, who had such a cracking start. You can see there they won the first scoring tournament. They're in 5th place. M&M in 6th. And then Hyperion 7th, Barrage 8th. There are top 8 teams. Unfortunately, no open division teams made it through to the playoffs.
It was close.
But we had quite a few. I mean, the most notable, I think, is Nuclear Storm Gaming, who very, very close. If they just had potentially won an extra round, then they may have made it through. But otherwise, it's been a pretty good set of games, and kind of everyone's ended up where you may expect them to.
Yeah, and I think while we say that, there are a few teams near the top, like looking towards Excel now, who we'll see today, have been looking a little shakier. So while they showed a lot more consistency earlier on, certainly Forge Champions 4 was not a great showing for them. However, I still think good strategic team can bring out things and are looking to cement themselves a spot in the European Masters.
Of course, you said Enclave, having locked in that play-in space already in the EU Masters, they still want to get through into the group stage. They still want to secure that first place spot. The play-in stage getting more and more competitive now, so definitely having that bye all the way through into the main stage, so much more valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Enclave, through regular season circuit points, secures the first spot towards the EU Masters from the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland European Regional League. But there is one more to get, and that's going to be the winner of this playoff tournament that we are completing the first Forge of Champions with.
And of course, if Enclave, having locked in that first spot, do get the first place, it will the play-in spot will go to the second place team. The other team in the finals who would be defeated by Enclave in that situation.
Absolutely. So let's have a look at the bracket. Let's see how these games are going to develop so that we can kind of get an idea of what to expect. We're kicking things off with the quarterfinals this week, and we're kicking things off strong. Enclave versus Barrage, then Wind and Rain, Diabolus, then Excel versus Hyperion, then Misfits versus Academy. Those are our bracket quarterfinal matchups.
Misfits versus Academy, yes.
Yeah, Misfits Academy versus M&M, sorry, I should say. These are all pretty spicy matchups. The first of going to be the Enclave versus Barrage, which we'll have very shortly at 6 p.m, followed by Excel versus Hyperion. And you've already said potentially that could be a matchup that we don't even know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting in an interview panel recently, and we were all talking about this, and we all looked at it and went, Hyperion XL has the biggest potential for an upset. I think XL, while they've been good strategically, have lacked in the execution, and Hyperion, when they've been strong and now returning with their good bot lane, should be looking strong. That could be the big thing coming up.
I mean, that's a really interesting point that you put out, because like I have Hyperion noted down as the team that's results are the most deceiving as far as how they will perform. You know, they've placed in the round of 16 twice through scoring tournaments in the first and the fourth, surprisingly. And then in the second and third, they've placed in the semi-finals to be then 2-0'd by Enclave, who come first. So it's... You don't really know what that means and how they can face up against Excel now that they're going to be back at that full force.
So, of course, in that second tournament, having Wind and Rain be knocked out early on due to the disqualification, people were questioning them. People were saying, is it just a fluke that they managed to make it all the way to those semi-finals, but then their third Forge of Champions managed to earn their way to that semi-final berth?
But they knocked out Diabolus in the third one.
They managed to prove their worth, and they managed to prove that it wasn't just a fluke. But then, obviously, you mentioned round of 16 in that fourth tournament. Not having the bot lane available to them did really hurt. And so it does really lead to those misleading results you talk about. 7th seed, but legitimately could be looking to be 4th, 5th.
Quite literally, if they placed better than round of 16 in the 4th scoring tournament, then they quite literally could have been 5th seed coming into this playoff.
But they're not.
Very close
seeding
in that.
But they're not.
But that shows like just how much that not having their bot lane, not having their full roster, not having the opportunity potentially to get those points.
Yeah, but now what's started to do? They're 7th seed. They're coming up against 2nd seed, and while I've said yes, XL have lacked in execution, they're still a great team.
Yeah.
And again, it's still the expected winners coming in. Hyperion coming in as the underdogs.
Yeah.
As you said, the most likely upset, but still an upset.
I mean, XL were the favorites to win by many at the start of the tournament. I feel like they had a really bad start to the Forge of Champions.
Yeah.
Their upset, you could call it, against M&M Gaming in week 1. M&M was a late announced roster. No one really knew what that was going to be, but then obviously it did come through. M&M have had kind of middle of the pack results the rest of the tournament, whilst XL, I actually think, have got better. Qualifying tournament 2, they won it against Enclave, reverse sweep, very famous XL style there. And then in the third one, it was an Enclave win, and it was very dominant, I felt, 3-1. You know, Enclave felt on top, but then in the last scoring tournament against Misfits, I thought that was a very competitive series, and it wasn't necessarily a case of XL being a bad team on the day. It was a case of Misfits Academy finally stepping up to the level of play that we kind of expected from them.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was I watched both, or I was even on both Misfits playing against XL and Enclave, and I definitely think early on XL started to show a bit more life. They had a bit more of an early game, so I think if they can bring that out, if they can make that a bit more consistent, and certainly if they can fix a lot of the weaknesses that we've seen from them in terms of execution, and a lot of it's just even bad positional play.
Sure.
we could definitely see this team go further. Because in a lot of the cases, I was looking at and going, they're making the right decision. It's too bad they just randomly died there.
Yeah, no, I think that's the. Sometimes it does come down to that. I mean, you've talked to players such as Rift, such as Prosper, and they've kind of admitted at stages they don't really feel like they're on top of the game in the moment, which is kind of surprising when they've had pretty good performances.
Yeah.
Especially Enclave. Like if we were to look at their statistics, they've been in 3 of the 4 finals. The only losses they've had so far in the regular season have been to the people who then won that scoring tournament. It's been really impressive stuff from Enclave.
But of course, you talk about Rifty. We have to mention today that Rifty will not be starting for Enclave. It will be Prelude in C starting their sub-top laner. They said they've been splitting some scrim time with him, so they wanted to give him the opportunity. And they're going to be bringing him in for this one. You could say maybe just having the confidence that they look so much better already than Barrage, that they wanted to give their sub some time. But they said he's been playing well in scrims, that he has proven himself to be a worthy top laner. And given Rifty's performances, that's really surprising. Yeah,
no, I mean, I'm not entirely sure if the reason is they want to get some game time for Prelude or if there's other things going on. I'm not going to speculate, of course.
Yeah.
But Prelude has had competitive experience and, is a formidable top laner. Has peaked Challenger before. Is doing quite well. I'm really excited to see him on the stage today. And I'm kind of upset because the last time Enclave faced up against Barrage, quite famously in the second game, we did have Rift be denied a pentakill by Governor at the very large stages of Game 2. So I was like really hyped for this. Barrage, obviously, they're looking for a win.
Maybe you see Prelude come out. I mean, he's been sitting on the bench waiting for his chance to get a pentakill.
What's even better is if Prelude is Quadra kill needs a pentakill, and Governor's the person who very much denied Rift the pentakill, and the game's very clearly over if Governor just allows it to happen. That's almost like a
Rifty in mid, he gets mad and steals the penta instead. No, if I can't have one, no one can.
That's true. I mean, I need to remind you guys, we do have a survey going on in the Twitch chat. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I believe it's for the MVP overall the season. I might be wrong, and if that's
it's about the stream as well, I believe.
It's about the stream.
So, yeah.
Oh, is it the entire survey?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, then yeah, come and check out our survey about the stream, about production, about us as beautiful
Say
faces.
nice things to me.
Say nice things specifically about Tiger. I mean, how can you say bad things?
Blame me.
It's cute. I'm not sure you're an option for the survey because it's like, yeah.
Unfortunately,
I'm saved.
I
mean, they can add under other,
sure,
other complaints about
please
sin.
Specify sin is awful. Please kick.
I'm hoping to get some foreheads. I just want a forehead on my comments.
You mean the emote, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just pictures
I've got enough
of
a forehead already. All right, Tiger. All right, you don't have to highlight that.
Someone Van Goghs it and then just sends you one.
Yeah.
Please. Barrage. They've had a rough season, is what I'm gonna say.
That's fair.
Scoring tournament 1, they lost to the Super Duper Giant Truck team. Scoring tournament 2, they lost to the Twitter Randoms, both in the round of 16. Then in the third one, they finally get to the quarterfinals, but then lost to Excel. And then in the fourth one, they have lost to Enclave. All of their losses have been either 0-2s, 1-2s. It's not been a great run, but at this point, I think for Barrage, Misfits has highlighted a bunch of weaknesses in Enclave's play very recently. Enclave is also running with a different top laner, so that changes the dynamic. And they're just looking to be competitive at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you were looking previously at potential win conditions for them, and I agree with that. You've seen listed a lot of the weaknesses, especially towards potentially that mid game.
Yeah, so I feel like Enclave, they lost control of the map, they lost control of vision and objective control around that mid game, and they got kind of choked out. Barrage's win condition, really, it has to be like denying the early game snowball that Enclave has been putting forward so often, but often off the back of winning lanes, maybe not so prevalent without Rifty, but at the same time, they've got to control the mid game, and if you get to control the map, you deny them the playmaking potential, that do-or-die attitude they go for, which has made the game so scrappy. You get to take control of objectives and slowly choke them out of the map, gaining CS advantages, level advantages, and even if the score looks even, you look fully in control.
I mean, and in the last encounter, Reflect actually had a really good performance, especially in Game 1 of the series, was a bit of a monster on that Nidalee. Now, Governor, potentially a bit of breathing room against Prelude. Not to say, Prelude is categorically worse than Rift, but I genuinely believe that Rift might be possibly the best top laner in the competition.
Although Reflect had that good performance, it's actually going to be Zorky starting in this
okay.
series.
Yeah,
Zorky
is back.
They've got their original jungler back.
That's true.
Sub,
yeah.
So maybe we can say that this is looking to be an upgrade, but with Reflect's performances, it's definitely shoes to fill that we didn't really expect it to be beforehand.
My argument is that Barrage have shown no signs that they're improving. There's like that's I mean it's harsh, but it's true. Like I mean the saddest and funniest graphic I saw was when you had how the teams have moved over the 4 scoring tournaments. Everyone has all these crazy everyone has all these crazy lines, and there's one underline on the bottom.
So Barrage is the most consistent team in the Forge of Champions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Consistently below par.
But I do think, I was talking to their coach as well, and he said they have high hopes for this, not necessarily even to win, but if they can pull out a good performance, showcasing that Barrage is still very much a top 8 org.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're here. They've made it through the scoring tournament.
And they left the Kali open.
Oh my god. How does that even happen?
So I was going to mention that even with Reflect not playing, they've decided to ban the Nidalee anyway. So many Nidalee players in the UK scene, but that's just completely overshadowed by the fact that you've got Akali.
Twilight Shrouded.
Yeah. Akali, a champion that, like, in solo queue, if you look at a win rate, she's actually bottom right now, just behind Ryze. But if you look competitively, there's so many players performing to really high degrees on her, just showing exactly what you can do with the tools this champion has to succeed.
This is a public service announcement. Ban Akali. That is all. All right. Taliyah, locked in. Is obviously a very strong jungler. She's been prevalent through the entirety.
My champion.
No, we don't talk about it. They're trolling you.
No hovers. No hovers.
They baited
they
you
always
here.
lie.
Not the Shaco, the Taliyah.
Oh, of course.
The
Taliyah.
Taliyah's my champion.
The Shaco would be great.
Yeah, the Shaco would be great. But let's
But yeah. Anyway.
The Taliyah's my champion. Yeah, it's so good for aggressive pathing junglers. And if you've got a Nidalee player, a champion that's so based around how well you're pathing and how well you're farming around the map, Taliyah is a champion that fits directly into that. She's an aggressive jungler with a high range of bursts, similar to Nidalee, who also really excels in her ability to outplay opposing junglers, just simply on where she is.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Taliyah has CC in her kit clearly adds more value to a team as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Nidalee gets rolling, then she's a carry threat in her own right, but because of the CC, I feel like she almost suits competitive play more for these style of junglers.
I think what I argue is she's pretty much the fastest farmer as well.
Yep.
She can just run through the jungle and past level 9, it's insane.
Yeah, when your Q goes down to a 2-second cooldown, yeah.
Yeah, the big thing for me though is the biggest weakness for Taliyah is when someone gets on top of her, especially since the nerfs. You've got a 16-second cooldown on your W. Yeah. Akali, you have Gragas, who is one of the most consistent engages. Yes, you have to run through the E, but get yourself a good angle, catch people out. Like, it's a bit rough for Taliyah a little later on.
Munkiss's Gragas has been really solid throughout the entirety of the tournament. Huge body slam flash plays, really setting up a lot of things throughout the game.
And now you don't even need it because Predator's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have Varus for Bendy. I feel like Bendy has yet to show us exactly what he's all about. He's had really good performances in some games, but has then been shrouded potentially by carry performances from Rift. But on Varus, every time I've seen him play a hero, a champion like Varus, like Jhin, I've seen really good stuff. So I'm really happy to see this.
I mean, the big thing for me is that, you have, Bendy's been doing okay-ish, but it's actually early on he did better.
Yep.
So now I think looking to maybe get back on that form or certainly step up in that regard. I think what's very weird to me coming into this ban phase 2 is that on red side they're banning Darius. That tells me they want to lock a tank.
Different top laner, same old story. It's going to be the Darius ban away from Prelude,
Yeah,
and
they want to lock a tank.
They're really targeting him out. This is what he plays in solo queue,
Yeah.
these sort of aggressive top lane champions. But I wanted to quickly refer to the Orianna versus the Akali matchup, because Akali, renowned for having one of the worst early laning phases of every champion in the game right now, often falls down 20 to 30 CS before she hits level 6. Orianna, one of the best laning champions in mid lane, where you can just zone people out so effectively using the ball, using the command dissonance as well. So it's going to try and pin her down to a point where she can't really get that assassination potential early enough.
Now at a point with the Darius band, the Urgot band, and then supports really locked down here for the side of Barrage. That's pretty interesting, because I feel like for Barrage it almost forces them. I mean, they're going to anyway pick a support here, but then what does Haddo pick in return? He's kind of lessened options by doing so. It doesn't really matter. Haddo's pool is huge.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to go for something a bit more poke-oriented, lean back towards the Tam Kench, even post-nerfs, because we did see them do that in previous quarterfinals. I'm interested to see. The big thing for me though is like, what does Prelude want to lock in top lane now, knowing that he's likely against a tank from Governor?
Yeah, he's going to be going in blind, so you definitely.
My guess is something like Poppy is going to come up. Even the buffed Scion is definitely an option
He's
as well.
definitely played a fair amount of Poppy in solo queue as well, so it's a fair shout. But one of the safest blind pick top laners into those sort of champions, but I don't really have Governor pegged for your kind of Jace, your aggressive dominant top laner, the kind of top laner that wants to be pressuring out Prelude, so you're free to go for something like a Poppy here and go unpunished.
9 seconds. The suspense is killing me.
I mean, they banned out Poppy's counters.
Yeah.
In most cases. Like,
exactly.
Gnar wouldn't be a bad pick, but Governor...
I think Gnar's a decent top laner here. I think the fact that you've got the Alistar for a front lane already and to set up the Orianna Shockwave for even more of a wombo combo situation.
Even focusing on that, you have a really strong 4-man if you want to go full split push.
Yeah, that really works as well, especially with like the disengage you have from an Alistar. Just like that's really the core of a 4-man unit you need. You need to have an engage and a disengage to really set up a split pusher effectively.
My issue is, does that fit Governor's playstyle?
Nope.
No.
All right.
That's a full team fight.
Yeah, that's full team fight right there. We're seeing the Maokai in the top lane, so that's really a hard tank pick, and he wants to go for the setup with the ultimate clearly to try and enable Taliyah, Lucian, Orianna to give them the space to do their damage. Taliyah working like an effective AD carry in those later stages in the game. So I think with the Lucian Taliyah having that much DPS and the Orianna for the burst to both to set them up, there's definitely hope for a team fight with the amount of disruption they have.
It surprises me that against a team that I feel is so characterized by their all-in late game plays, being Enclave, that it seems to me that Barrage want to try and shore themselves up as much to have the best team fighting composition to almost counter that.
I would argue that Enclave have been characterized by all-in plays at random times in the game. I mean, it doesn't really seem to matter at what time it is, so it's not necessarily they're waiting for late game. And I'm looking at Enclave now, and they still absolutely have those engage options. You have Varus ultimate, you have Akali and Gragas can run forward and then try get back.
Sure.
Yeah, Akali's in and out style definitely really fits exactly what you're saying, where she can just go in as hard as she wants, throw down the Shroud, and then have the ability to either wait for a team to follow up or try and find a way out of the situation. There's definitely tools there for her. But the thing I'm interested by is we see Hado has gone for that Tahm Kenshin here. I think really the only thing it provides is the ability to get Varus out from really being out of position. So it's more if you see Eren or Bendy go too far or stay a little bit out of position, because there's no real hard pick potential in the opposing team you're trying to save yourself from. Normally you see something like an Ashe or Jhin, you look to do that. But it's more just I don't want my team to int pick.
I mean, you've got a Varus. He's very immobile, especially pre-6.
I mean, all the same, his range is fairly
We
decent.
still have seen it teamed up a lot with Varus and Ashe.
Yep.
Tahm Kench, very common with those just due to their mobility, especially against something like Lucian, who we have seen very much fall out of favor.
Yep.
We've seen Varus Ashe shoot to top priority because engage is the name of the game when the meta has shifted to a much earlier finishes.
I'm pretty sure every time Hado has had Alistar picked against him, he immediately locks in that Tahm Kench as well, because of the fact that you just pretty much deny Alistar's win condition.
The big thing is the obvious counter to it is generally the Morgana, and of course that being banned away, Tahm Kench is kind of your next go-to. There's no real consistent way to.
I think Hado also really enjoys playing Tahm Kench.
Definitely fair to say that the Grom and Thresh bans hitting Bartiona's pull quite heavily as well, because he wants to go for that Lucian Braum, that Lucian Thresh, the really aggressive bot lanes. Having to go for the Alistar, definitely not too much of a fallback, doesn't have quite the same aggression in those early phases, and it just provides a lot more in terms of the later games and like the big 5-man knockups.
It's been a while since we've seen the wife steal lane.
The wife steal lane.
Yeah,
Thresh and Lucian.
Thresh, yes, of course.
Yeah, it's been ages since you see that. Lucian
I've
Braum
not
is
heard
so
that
popular.
one.
It's all about lore.
Yeah.
I get the lore, but I've not heard that phrase before. I like it.
Yeah, it's a great one. But no, instead, the Lucian Braum has been much more prevalent.
It's more
interesting that they've decided to pretty much go, we just don't want to play against anything aggressive. They still find the Alistar, but with the Tahm Kench, it's a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, no, I think so. I'm really interested to see from Barrage where they try to poke holes in Enclave. Like I mentioned earlier, Reflect able to do it from the jungle. Now, of course, we do have Zorki coming in here. So on the Taliyah, you have plenty of ability to play that macro game as a jungler. You can get around the map so quickly that you almost have to respect it.
Yeah.
You've mentioned already that vision control was the weakness that Misfits was able to exploit. I wonder if Barrage have studied up on those games from
I'm wary with the Taliyah only because Monkiz has been good in the early game with the Gragas, and Taliyah kind of needs that little bit of time to scale up. It needs that Q cooldown to come down a bit.
So once you start to get to that level 7, between level 7 and 9, when your Q cooldown does hit that key 2-second spike, it makes your clear so much quicker, so much easier. That's where you can really start taking over the jungle. We talked about it's the mid game where they need to take over the jungle.
It's time to get into this game. It's time to, I don't know if this is safety first or just excitement, but we've got 3D glasses.
Yep. Did you guys ever, I mean, I prefer the newer versions, obviously.
I can't watch them personally.
Glasses, yeah.
It hurts my eyes. This is fine though. I like this.
I'm set.
Someone, can we get a group photo? Get in here.
No, it's cute. We'll see if we can watch a decent game, or if we're going to need to leave these on so we don't have to watch it.
Wow, that's harsh. But it is. I mean, Barrage.
We'll see if Enclave are seeing red. Haha.
Or Cyan, I guess.
I mean, the thing that it's really difficult for Barrage.
I like the effort here.
I mean, you have to.
I appreciate it. You gotta go big or go home.
Barrage, like, it kind of feels like that for them it is all about being competitive here. That they are. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll get in. Oh, we have to take a picture. All right.
Okay.
You ready, guys?
Nope.
No. All right.
Not at all.
3, 2, 1, cheese.
Oh dear. Anyway, I've more of these anyway.
Make sure you head over to Twitch for this survey on our production, please.
Yeah.
We want to hear all your thoughts.
Tell our production
personally.
exactly what you think of them. I know I will.
Trying to see how many of these I can get on. I have a few here.
And this is to go even further beyond.
Wait, why is one of them red on one side? Well, you've put it on backwards fine. Okay.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, okay. That's why.
I can't really see, so I'm kind of doing this mostly by feel at this point.
He's ascended on.
If you don't mind, if people can rate my Master Yi cosplay.
Wait, is this the LVP version of the brain expanding me?
No, I'm Master Yi. See? It's great.
All right. I want predictions. We're almost onto the Rift. Clearly, this is an obvious one, I think, for most people, but what do you think on it?
I mean, yeah, I'm leaning towards Enclave pretty heavily. Even I discussed it with them. I think Barrage might show signs of life. Yeah, that's exactly why. That's exactly why I'm leaving it on.
Master Yi's so mechanically intensive, he sees the 8th dimension.
But it's Enclave have looked so much stronger. Barrage, for Barrage, I would just love for them to have a performance they could be proud of, even if they don't win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards Enclave. Even though they've lost the leader of Rifty in the top lane and they're going to be running Prelude instead, I still trust that Prelude has the mechanics and he has the ability to help them in that top side. He's been he's played in the null scene before and has another grassroots player. We've got a few of them in this tournament and has played in the competitive scene before. He's got the experience, so I don't think it's a massive downgrade compared to playing against Governor.
I mean, we're ready for some 3D chess.
Hey, I like that.
8D.
Returning to the regular dimension, I'm afraid.
Oh
no.
Was it fun on the other side?
It was crazy, man.
Was League of Legends fun?
You don't know what it was. It's crazy.
They didn't rework Nunu. It's great.
Man.
Mordekaiser
Nunu
looks
looks so fun, though. Not to play against.
Mordekaiser gets a Baron spirit in that universe.
I'd like that. I mean, it would at least be consistent, right?
Yeah. The idea of the Baron moving around the map, maybe. You just give it wings and get it to take off.
Oh, what if it worked like a Zir turret?
I like it.
from the
bursts out,
Baron.
bursts out of the hole in the ground. So yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we should just stop what we're doing right now, or apply to be Riot playtesters, and we can just generate it. Let's jump on to the Rift, guys. It is time for the quarterfinals. Enough of us blabbering around about 3D chess with 3D glasses, with red and blue glasses. Let's get on into this one and see how it does come apart. It is going to be ENCLAVE versus Barrage. It's not trading.
Yeah, it's just Talia trying to take control of the river, make sure that Barrage is going to be able to
The quick moves are really throwing me.
I love this. This is my favorite way to watch League. No, why did you stop it?
It's cinematography.
I want to team fights like that, please. I want the challenge.
You got your boy Kubrick on the observing over here.
Kubrick would never. That's all I'm saying. Michael Bay, maybe. Let's keep the analogies somewhat accurate here.
You can't, like, with the new Nexus splits where the Wolves just randomly explode. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Michael Bay had something to do with that.
Nothing too exciting happening in the first stages of the game. It does look like the junglers both going to start towards the top side of the map here.
Yep, just Talia starting reds up in the top side. I think it's so she can just keep Gragas away, essentially. Keep Gragas at bay.
Ooh, look at this! It's the level 1 push! It's Bendy knocked up! Heal already used. Can they find any more? Or is Haddo just going to slow them all down? In fact, can Haddo just 1v2 at this point with the Ignite ticking? He's like, Bendy, come in here! I've won!
It's it. We used Ignite. It's already over. Jakamaka, he's got that press the attack in the early game, so he does have the definitely the early game advantage. But Bendy, I don't think you can really understate how good lethal tempo can be in the early game. So they're not too afraid of trading either, as long as Bendy can keep those auto attacks up and not really let the lethal tempo have that much of a downtime.
This is the most exciting start to the bot lane I've had. We've had Zorky leave.
Tilted. He's tilted, guys. He's out.
Because he missed the Q stun. So I assume we'll get a pause. Maybe Zorky's actually here. He's actually moving around.
Back,
yeah, it's all good. All good. So,
just gone buff to buff.
Just if you're joining us here, you see Prelude here for Enclave. Rift subbed out. He's been a naughty boy. No, I think they're bringing Prelude in. Really confident in his ability in the top lane. And against Barrage, which they previously 2-0'd, it's a chance to get that competitive experience.
And I think definitely against Governor as well, who has been one of the weaker top laners in the league.
You mean the UK eSports Player of the Year?
Yeah.
Yep, Governor.
Yeah, definitely. Without a doubt. No question.
He was. He won it.
All the same, though, I think it's he's had an underwhelming performance this year, regardless. And I think that Prelude subbing in against him is it's definitely a lot more fitting than if you were to sub him in against, say, Shikari or Sendo. So I think it's definitely a good matchup to put him in if you put him in the quarterfinals as well, because then you can have Rift back in the semifinals. They said they've been splitting scrim time, so they've not exclusively put Prelude in or exclusively had Rift in and just subbing this in random. They said they have prepared for this. They did actually plan this out in advance. And they wanted to give him this game.
Monkus is in the bot lane.
Does this mean that turns into Fnatic now and Bendy gets subbed out for Prelude and we've got the Bwipo Soaz situation? Where we've got 2 top laners.
They can. That is the scary thing.
You go full Fnatic, you get a team of 5 top laners.
5 top laners. A top laner in each role.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you put the jungler? Do you keep them in the jungle or do you like have them as a roaming laner?
You get another top laner. You need 5 top laners. It's the most flexible role, clearly.
It's the best role.
It's the best role, yeah.
EU has shown it. And we're in EU for a little bit longer.
At least for now, but
until the UK servers come online in 2019.
Oh, I'm going to love that one. The amount of toxicity in that server is going to be great. I love it.
Imagine, Theresa May has declared that League of Legends EUS is no longer...
They're going to have their own island server as well. I'm looking forward to that Northern Ireland server of 12 people.
Getting the worst evils here from Tig. He's like, nope, nope, nope. Who is this guy? Oh dear. Early game so far has been relatively unimpactful, but it's kind of what you expect, especially with a Varus and a Kali on your team for Enclave here.
I think the thing I'm impressed by thus far is how well Aaron's been able to keep up in lane. Akali, as we mentioned, normally known for being really far down in CS, really struggling in lane, but Seb has been able to keep up, barely keep up really, and Aaron's starting to get that lead, and this is really where Akali, when she gets the assassination potential and is killing people consistently when she's 20 CS down, what happens when she's even? It starts to be even more of a threat.
It's scary as well because you're Orianna. Oh, Prelude. That hurts to watch. It's scary as well because Orianna, you don't miss CS as Orianna. You shouldn't. You don't really have.
You should have at least the lane pressure to be pushing out, and just really been struggling against the Q spam from Aaron. Not really utilizing the heal every time, just trying to get as many Qs down as possible to clear the wave. Not having to rely on the trading so much. So, I mean, if Orianna's not going to put the pressure on you, you're so much more free to spam those Qs in lane.
That's really important. The Sapling connects on to Prelude. Is going to stop him from backing. And yeah, look, it was the notice of Atalia in the top side that meant Prelude had to go back. He will have to potentially burn the teleport, but he would be doing so into a 2v1. But I don't think it looks like they're going to dive it.
Tower, the wave's resetting, so it gives them the time to be able to back away and give the good back off to Governor.
At this point, though, I want to know how Barrage can abuse that. If this teleport advantage will mean anything to the way they play around the bot lane.
I think it's just going to give Governor the ability to control the lane a little bit easier, get a bit
Oh,
CS advantage.
we've started! The shockwave, they want to turret, never mind! There it is, precision! Oh, straight into Zorky. First blood comes through for Eren. But of course it is Zorky who picks it up, and that was just a really early usage of the Twilight Shroud.
Again, only sitting on top of the Amp Tome and the Doran Shield when he makes that play happen, still gets the kill.
In the bot lane, here's Governor, though. They are teleporting in. Tom Kench has a virus in his belly, but he has to come out. Bendy's dead. Governor finds the kill, and now it's going to be Hado roaming to his left. Jakamaka finds the kill. Barrage 3-1.
And suddenly Barrage, they get a good swing in the early game. We talked about how you need to deny Enclave, and it's by getting the denial of the plays in the early game, getting some good trades off, and then having control over the mid game, using your wave pressure, using your map pressure to then shut Enclave out of objectives, shut them out of being able to make plays. Well, already we're seeing a good advantage for the aggressive bot lane of Jakamaka and Bartiano.
Yeah, here's this this mid lane. As soon as that perfect execution got unlocked, you see Eren go in aggressively there.
Instant all in at level 6. I do love just the consistent damage and consistently how well you can stick to them when you've got the E, the Shuriken flip, of course, but ends up just flashing out directly into Zorky's.
It feels like the Twilight Shroud may have been a mistake because it definitely had no usage there. One thing, though, I want to talk about is the fact that Barrage, after that mid lane play, instantly call a shot. Instantly down to the bot lane.
Instantly teleport down to the bot lane. They go, okay, the mid lane is off the map. The mid laner can't roam. We got to make the play happen bot lane. We know the top lane has no teleport. There's no counter to this. Governor, just go down. You have the ultimate available. Yeah,
that's really impressive. So Barrage are here, and they've shown that they've got the early game under lock. It's a small 1,000 gold lead for them, but potentially one that they can continue to grow if they continue making plays like this.
And so what we were seeing in that play again, just with the Akali, is just how you can get an advantage effectively in mid lane when you've got that little bit of a CS advantage compared to being behind, how well you can snowball that. And we need to see if she can continue to have the pressure onto Seb, if she can make roam plays happen, put pressure on the enemy jungle as well, because that's really where she starts to shine, when she can start clearing the waves more effectively and then find the jungler out of position.
Ooh, it's a gank in the bot lane. Look at that, the wall cuts them all off. Knock up, Bendy's out. Over the wall he flashes, but Hado's stunned and locked and dead. That's going to be another kill coming through for Barrage, and a gank even through a warded Tribush. That wall just too quick.
Really good lead for the bot lane now, with both of them building towards that Blade of the Rune King first item. Definitely a good lead for Jakamaki. He's constantly going to have that trading advantage as well, because he has that double shot available. Going to make it so much easier to trade when you have that percentage health damage, the lifesteal. Everything stacks so well together with his kit.
One thing I'm already worried about, as Bendy pretty much gets forced off his turret here, is the fact that when Enclave's bot lane gets dominated, you always have the carry threat of Rift in the top lane as an insurance.
But now, right now, you don't have that threat.
Oh, wow, we're fighting here. Munkus with the plays. That's going to be Bartiano trying to get out. Here comes the chains. Oh, no, he's not quite able to get them. They find a kill, but Bart is dead, so it's a 1-for-1. Pretty much the best case scenario that you can find there. 1-for-1, not bad.
Yeah, they do at least get something out of it, but the kill does go onto Hado, unfortunately, not giving anything over to Bendy. So Jakamaka still sitting 2-0-2, has the CS advantage for himself, still fairly comfortable in this laning phase. So I don't think you really need to slow down the pace at all if you're Barrage. Keep the pressure up on this bot side, keep them down, give Lucian enough of an advantage, but Prelude going mid.
Yeah, going mid, but such a good gank coming through from Prelude. Make sure that Seb can't get away. Pretty simple stuff there.
Really nice roam down, yeah, to just give help Eren snowball a little bit easier. If he went all in on that play himself, of course, Orianna finds it that much easier to get away, use the shockwave and pin Eren down under tower. Having the extra member there, and of course the poppy changes not all too long ago, allowing you to keep somebody targetable during that small pop-up, does give her the ability to set up those plays much more easier for a team.
Don't know why Seb didn't use his summoners, potentially just wasn't prepared for the roam from Prelude. And you can kind of see potentially why that might be. There is no vision control on the top side of the map for Barrage. It's all towards that bottom side. But, makes sense. They are playing around the bottom side. That's where they're looking to win.
Hard playing around the bottom side. And, yeah, Governor kind of been left to his own devices. But now they're going for a preemptive lane swap here, Enclave. Switching up to the top side. Trying to send the Poppy down to the bot side as well. So if they do try and go for this hard turret race, Poppy can just ult that bot lane away. Yeah,
trying to remove this win condition that Barrage have started to find themselves. Looks like Governor may be in a bit of trouble. Munkus here. Good little knock up to stop the engage from the body slam there. But
Yeah, it looks like
it
they're
is
just gonna
4
try
men
and
in the
trade.
top lane. They can push that turret
Doesn't
down.
have the ultimate available just yet. I was expecting them to try and slow down the play, but they want to
Ooh,
keep
they're
up
not
the
actually going to
pressure.
get it. This
They
is going
wanna
to be
keep up
first
the
turret
pace.
blood for Barrage by the looks of it.
But they wanted to make sure they can respond in kind as quickly as possible. They knew the bot lane tower was going to go down eventually. The pressure had been there from Zorki all game. So by rotating early, they can at least ensure they get a 1-for-1 tower trade as quickly as possible.
Really good macro play from ENCLAVE to try and ensure this weakness they found in this early game. But it will mean the Ocean Drake will beat Barrages, and so ultimately, objective advantage continuing to go to Barrage.
We kind of counted Barrage out very early. We weren't too hopeful that they'd change up the play style, but what Zorki's been bringing and the pressure down the bot side has really worked wonders for them. But if ENCLAVE get this Rift Herald, maybe they can start
They're
to
going to fight this. Look at this. Entirety of Barrage are coming over. They know it's happening. And of course, it is an Orianna Alistar, and ENCLAVE immediately going to move back, but the Talia wall comes through. They've locked them off. Here comes the team fight. Who is going to be the target? Haddo locked on up. Ooh, just gets the grey health, but he may just die. That's going to be the kill going over. Monkus is dead, but here comes Eren as the Akali. And potentially, that is enough of a threat that they move back here. Without Jakamaka, they're just going to take that 2-for-1.
Still ends up giving them the advantage on the play, and Zorki comes in. Again, right place, right time, gets the nice wall down, and they get the Rift Herald for themselves. Look at that, it's on Zorki now. So he's going to be able to try and make a snowball play for Barrage. We're saying maybe if ENCLAVE picks up, they can get themselves back in contention. They can start to even out the tempo. But now this gives Barrage the ability to keep on speeding up this game, keep on speeding up the tempo, and keeping Jakamaka in this commanding lead.
Yeah, this is such a different result to what we were expecting from Barrage.
Yeah.
They've really come in here and they've found their game plan, win conditions early. The case for them is now they have to continue it, because so often we've seen these teams get early leads against the top 4 teams here in the Forge Champions, but they haven't been able to execute on those leads. The game has gone longer than they would have wanted, and that the experience and I guess the ability that the top 4 teams exhibit has allowed them to come back and win.
But all the same, you've been saying it's a team fight composition. That's what we've been harping on all game long. That spikes heavily in the mid game. This is not the spike of the composition yet. When we start to see that 20-minute hit, and Orianna Shockwave starts to do a decent amount of damage, you see the Talia start to get towards that second item as well. Lucian get towards his Black Cleaver on top of the Blade of the Rune King. That's where you'll start seeing these team fights actually be very advantageous for Barrage. And if they can snowball the advantage around that 20-minute mark, try and perhaps use the Rift Herald to accelerate that, then that's where Barrage can fully take over the game. They can fully take over the river.
Well, right now it's going to be the turrets traded, top lane turret taken here. But look at this, Monkus knows that Talia is in the top side, and so immediately they put pressure onto Seb to push him off his turret. Potentially now we'll see ENCLAVE roam as a 3 over towards that top side, potentially look to try and catch out these weaker targets. Jakamaka Zorki could be bursted so quickly by Eren and Monkus. Let's see if they can find it. That's going to be a Twilight Shroud used early. Eren's diving in. Oh, Zorki is almost dead. He goes down, but they're able to trade the kill through. Barrage find 1. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Prelude, can he escape is the question. Knocks 2 back into Jakamaka as well. Good stuff coming through from ENCLAVE to shut that fight down as soon as they could, because they don't want to deal with it. But look at that. Turret falls down, and the Rift Herald takes about half the health of that topside turret. And now Barrage potentially even going to get this mid lane as well.
This is what Barrage need to continue doing, though. Even though they are leaking some of the gold lead, they're making mistakes, they're accelerating the tempo of the game. They're keeping this up. They're keeping ENCLAVE on the back foot. They're keeping them having to make responsive plays. And that's what Barrage wants. They want to be in control come that 20-minute mark, like we keep saying. So if Barrage keep this up, they keep up the tempo, they can keep forcing down towers and get control of that river, that's where they can force team fights around Baron.
This is the strongest we've seen Barrage so far in the entirety of the Forge of Champions tournament. And they are giving the EU Masters play-in qualifier of ENCLAVE a rough time here in Game 1 of this quarterfinal. It all comes down to the continued level of aggression that Barrage needs to maintain.
And it's easy for everybody to just point at Prelude and say, they're running the sub-top laner, it doesn't matter. But this has really been the mistakes of the bot lane and how they've been pressured so effectively, with Monkus giving absolutely no pressure back. So Zorki has taken over the game and enabled Jakamaka to be a mid-game threat. We're going to see that Black Cleaver come through very shortly. And that's where Jakamaka can start making these plays happen. He can start ice skating around the rift.
Let's see how Barrage continue this dominant early game that they have found themselves. Gold's still very close, it has to be said, because of ENCLAVE's macro play so far, to be able to trade pawns down, essentially in this game. They've kept things relatively close, but if Barrage can survive Aaron's early attacks on this Akali, then they almost win the team fight, it feels.
Hey,
Let's see
Akali's
here,
late
though.
game doesn't get any easier.
Governor going to be able to flash away here. Oh, that's a beautiful knockback! And Aaron able to clean things up, taking down Governor. Makes things very difficult for Barrage to keep pressure up.
The perfect explosive cask to knock him directly into the open arms of Aaron. Snaps up that kill. 5-2 now. And he's got a huge advantage over the Orianna.
Huge advantage is an understatement at this point. They don't even exist in the same universe.
It's really the assassination potential that we're talking about from Akali. If he can get rid of Jakamaka, who we've been saying is the huge threat. If he can get rid of Jakamaka, who has all these items on him, who has all the gold lead on him, then Akali can just take over the game from that point. If you remove all the gold lead from your opponents, if you remove all the emphasis that all the early game has been put into putting Lucian ahead, then suddenly Aaron's just left free against the backline.
And it feels like Seb's having an identity crisis right now when you look at the items here. Just a bit of everything.
Yeah, he can't decide whether he wanted the
garage sale.
Seraphs, yeah. and now he had the directly from the Lost Chapter into the tiers, so he's been an identity crisis for a while, but finally finishes that finally finishes that Archangel staff, but still ways off of stacking up. And you need that shield really though to survive the Akali assassination potential, and you need the Zhonya's as well on top of it, so he needs to at least get a couple items before we can see him consistently go in lane against Akali, even in the side lane.
So here comes a replay. I'm expecting it is, of course, going to be this Akali kill in the top lane. And I did not expect this explosive cast to connect.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be one where it's almost directly on top of him and knocks him away, but the perfect, pixel perfect, knocks him directly back into the Twilight Shroud, and the precision ends up finishing him off. The perfect execution from Aaron.
It's beautiful. Hitchcock would be proud as well. Thank you, production team. That was beautiful.
Hitchcock now, is that who we're going for?
I mean, Hitchcock, the champion of thriller in the film genre, and so
champion of suspense, yeah.
Yeah, so you knew that the explosive cast was coming. We kind of set it up.
I get you.
And then you just get to see it.
Okay,
unfold.
I can respect that.
Yeah, I studied film.
Same.
Good degree.
Yep.
Aaron here has found a cow, and he's gonna escape. That is all. I've done my play-by-play duties.
All right, it's my job now. Okay, talk about League of Legends. League is a game.
Oh, that one wasn't pixel perfect.
That one was. The dash did come through from Jakamaka.
I mean, that was opportunistic.
Yeah,
what I would call that.
The only real time you want to be trying to perform that is when the dash is down, or you see him dash in aggressively and try and catch him out. It was a bit of a wasted cast. As you say, optimistic.
Yep. But ENCLAVE, they have slowed down Barrage here. Aaron going up against Governor, just showing off Akali's power. I mean, this is a tank, and he just half-health him.
That's how afraid they are. They've got Seb going up against Prelude in the side lane, and Governor up against Aaron, just so that Seb can't be consistently assassinated.
There's not really enough magic resist yet.
Yeah.
To
and as you say, it comes down to the identity crisis that you had earlier, where he doesn't know what he's building, so he's ended up putting himself, pigeonholing him into this... I
mean, you could almost say the same thing about Governor.
Yeah, at least with Governor, you just end up stacking a bunch of health.
Sure.
And he's got some armor, some magic resistance. He's got all the stats he wants, just no completed items.
Is going to be this garage sale, I guess, for Barrage. Roll on up to Barrage's garage sale. We've got Seb and Governor's tables here.
The garage sale.
The garage.
Barrage garage. It's funny because they sound the same.
Yes, that's true.
We're nearing that 20-minute mark where the plays start to come online, and this is what they're looking for. They want to force those advantages. We see the item spikes coming through now. See that Oblivion Orb on Zorki. He's starting to do a decent amount of damage. We're seeing the 2-item spike on Jakamaka. Only one really trailing behind is Seb.
Barrage, very aggressive here. We'll finally break open that turret. Oh, Monk is almost dead, but here comes Aaron.
But he's gonna
Aaron looking for the kill onto Jakamaka. Can he find it? No, he's going to be swallowed up. Finally, they find the kill, but they're going to trade 1/4 back. It's 2 for 1 in favor of the side of Barrage. Prelude, though, diving onto Seb. And Seb almost dead. Governor finally locks the Poppy in place. They should be able to take her down, you feel. Blast Cone for safety. It is going to be a 3 for 1. A mid lane turret. And Aaron just not able to find the kill.
The Buckler giving Jakamaka the fright of his life there on the backside. Ends up barely surviving. And then the Triumph comes through to help him out. But really close there for what we said earlier on, that the plays around this point in the game should be beneficial for Barrage. They should be getting advantages in those team fights. That was so well stalled out by Monkiz, by Prelude, and Eren coming in as well off the backside. They needed to try and get as much they could out of that play, and they end up trading almost even at the start, but Prelude ends up caught out in those 3 members, can't quite finish off Jakamaka.
Yeah, at this point, it's not looking good for Enclave if Barrage are able to make these aggressive plays and survive throughout them. At this point, 11-7, the gold still so close. The Baron has joined us on the Rift. It's 2 Ocean Drakes that kind of allow Barrage, if they are able to disengage a fight, to then get those advantages over Enclave.
Well, they aren't really going to be the ones disengaging the fight that effectively, though, unless you see the Maokai ultimate being used defensively to try and slow down people who are engaging on them. This is really the composition that wants to be going forward, front to back.
Prelude's been spotted in the bot lane with no teleport. It is going to be Barrage starting up this Baron. They've got a good team fighting composition, but can they finish the Baron off before Prelude makes the cross-map journey is the question. 3,000 health, it's looking good. Monkiz doesn't have flash to get on into the pit. Great route with the Maokai ult. Barcelona knocks him back. Baron secured, but Bendy, oh, this is going to be a huge crane of corruptions. They find the first kill, but oh, they're fighting everything at this point. It looks like Barrage may have this. Eren dives out. No, Eren dives forward. They've killed everyone but Governor.
Just 1 left.
Double kill so far for the Varus, and Eren's picked up Jakamaka as well. They are able to get the Baron, but then they lose their lives.
They go hard onto the Baron. They aren't willing to disengage for the team fight. They didn't have the correct call, and they end up backing away from the Baron, completely caught out of position. You see what happens here. They see the Baron health is low. They want to just try and disengage Monkiz and go, now let's burst it down. They don't have the time. They don't have the health bars, so they get caught out in the pit. All the members have collapsed, and it gives Prelude the time to get involved in this fight. You see, no one was really on the same page on the turn. There was never a clean engage point. So Governor's just trying to hit Andy Bendy with auto attacks there on the backside as the rest of his team just falls in the pit, and Eren just gets free reign to clean up.
Really beautiful stuff. Chains of corruption just so deadly in those Baron pits there, where Barrage never were able to split to stop them from being snared.
I love what Eren was able to provide in that fight, though. The 3-man ultimate gets him to the back of the pit as well, where he's free to land that 5-point strike over the wall again.
Insane stuff. At this point, all lead that Barrage felt like they had potentially has been removed. If Enclave can continue finding fights like that.
But they still have the 1 Baron buff. This is the 1 respite they do have. Governor still holds on to that buff. So he can still try and get some advantages, at least force the waves deeper, so they can try and get vision control and try and deny Barrage that playmaking potential that they've got with all of their gold lead. So if they're able to use that Baron buff to get control, they can start forcing fights better. As you can see, they've got vision control in the opposing jungle. It allows them to catch out Hado.
Yep, find Hado. Bendy's able to get to safety. Hado potentially may lose his life here. Doesn't look like they're going to hard commit. Seb gets knocked aback by a Poppy on the lower side of our camera angle there.
But the fact that they were able to do that gives them control to land some free poke on this bot lane tower. But catch Prelude a little bit out of position here, land some free poke.
Here comes the Talia War as well. That's going to split Bendy from the fight. Make sure Eren can't get too close to him. Free turret comes through, yep, with the Baron up wave that Governor is able to provide. They're going to continue pushing forward, of course, because they have those Ocean Drakes, so they can continue regenning their health.
It's definitely very effective a way of using the Talia wall. I did love it, zoning them away from the tower, just making sure you can force the wave into that tower and get the full collapse. And now they can back off. You see the pings onto that Cloud Dragon, would be their 3rd dragon of the game, and that's where you start looking towards that Infernal Dragon. You start thinking, well, the buff's going to provide there.
Yeah, I mean, you've had an Ocean, you had a Cloud. I played a bit of roulette, so I know what happens next. You get black again. That's what happens next.
You go all in on red.
Yeah. Wasn't a good day. But at this point, of course, it's a free objective. You'd be dumb not to take it. Enclave aren't really looking to fight around it. It's not key to their win condition. And so with that Ocean Drake taken, you have your 3rd. You're going to get another crack at the Drakes before the Elder comes online as well.
So now the game's just slowed down in pace a little bit. This is not what Barrage wanted. They wanted to use that Baron buff to accelerate the game again, keep the pace up, keep the pressure on Enclave, who, as we've mentioned, haven't really been able to be proactive at any point in this game. It's all been reactive plays, responding to the mistakes that Barrage are making. So now they find themselves in a situation where they've got to try and build the pressure across the map again, get back into control. And that's really what's where it's harder to force the plays until you wait that 5 minutes maybe, until you've got rid of all the vision, where you can get rid of all the wards littering the river.
Yeah, that's very true. Get those lanes pushing so that you can control the rotations. Prelude's teleport, though, is back up and ready to go, which is important because it was the catalyst from them to be able to make a play. But look, they found Eren here. Banshee's Veil going to stop from the knockup. There's the Shroud to try and keep them alive. Oh, beautiful usage. Oh. Jakamaka survives Monkus. Here comes the explosive cast straight back into the fight. But it doesn't matter because Jakamaka has a double kill. Now looking onto Prelude. Gonna knock him up, but he survives for now. Make that a third for the side of Barrage. And Bendy with the knockback. He's dead for all rights. 4 kills for Barrage, and they turn the heat up to top.
And you were talking about a catalyst. How's that for a catalyst? They speed the game right back up. They get rid of the Akali. They get rid of 4 members. And this could be the game.
Wow. Could you imagine this? Barrage now pushing down the top side of this map. It is going to be that inhibitor turret falling quickly with the inhibitor not too far to go. Eren's up in 10 seconds. Monkus in 7. At least a Nexus turret and a wall from Zorki to make sure they can't get into the fight. They want to finish now. They see the golden light. Can they find it? Here comes that Akali looking for the burst damage. Turret's down. Bartano is dead. Eren with a double kill. Jakamaka turns around though, finds one of his own. Can they do the work is the question. Jakamaka's still alive doing the damage. It's Zorki dead. Eren finds another. It's Bendy in fact. Seb's dead. Double kill. Only Jakamaka left alive, but he goes down. The Nexus survives and Enclave are still in it.
And they get too greedy. They force the advantage too far. They think they have the damage. And they all get picked off. The ace right back for Enclave after losing 4 members. All the kills picked up, and they only lose Monkus on the backside of that fight.
Holy moly, let's get a replay of that because it is intense. It all starts with this great catch that Bardaneno was able to find onto Eren.
Ends up waiting for the pulverize. He doesn't activate it too early and break the shield with that. Ends up Jakamaka though. You look at him, he's out of position for the explosive cast. Knocks him directly back into his team. It's where he wants to be. Surrounded by Governor, surrounded by Zorki, where he's free to damage this Poppy, get back that health. And now look, they can play front to back again.
Beautiful stuff from Seb, able to find that forward. And then, of course, Barrage, well, this is about as best of an opportunity you're going to get. And regardless of the fact they didn't win this team fight, they get the Nexus turrets and the inhibitor. This is huge for their late game.
Still a huge advantage, but I think they got too hypey. They saw the play, they saw the finish line, and they wanted to rush directly towards it without doing the prerequisite plays.
Potentially also a mix of calls here as Jakamaka gets caught against this Poppy. Couldn't really support any assistance against Eren, but look at that. The Nexus almost fell. Only a couple more auto attacks and you would have had it here. Holy moly, 22 seconds. The Baron will join us on the Rift once more. And it looks like Barrage may be facing up to find their first victory over Enclave.
So I liked what Prelude was able to do at the end of that replay, and he denied Jakamaka the ability to hit the Nexus. He used the E to push him away, and then threw down the Steadfast Presence. That entire duration, Lucian can't dash through her. He's slowed consistently from those Qs, so he can't get back to the Nexus. And it means that he ends up being pinned away from it. So they couldn't quite finish it off, but it's still just a small brisker win from going down. They need to be so careful that there's not just a quick backdoor play and somebody finds a way in.
I mean, we've been talking about this matchup for a little while now over the last couple of days here. None of us expected it to be this competitive between Barrage and Enclave. They have done their homework. They have rallied the troops, and you can see the motivation is strong in the Barrage camp. Enclave, however, they're going to have to find out what happened here, what went wrong. Potentially they can turn this game around. It's not lost yet.
But it's like you say, they did their research. They know when Enclave is weakest, and it has been their mid-game decision-making. It has been their mid-game playmaking in terms of having the vision control on the map and utilizing it effectively. So if you draft a hard mid-game composition, you deny them everything they want to snowball their advantages. And they didn't even get any specific advantages from the early game because Jakamaka and Zorki did so well to pressure that bot side.
Seb baiting himself there in the top side. The rest of the team set up for the Death Bush if anyone was to come. They're going to start up this Baron once
Let's see if
more.
this one goes better than the last.
Hado is at base, but of course has the Abyssal Voyage to get on into the action. It is going to be a blind Baron, but here comes the Poppy ult. Can she knock anyone out is the question. Oh, she knocks 2! This is huge! This is just death for Barrage, because Jakamaka, well, he can't go anywhere. Zorky, Neva, Zeb. Oh, they dive back in, but Jakamaka doesn't get over the wall. Eren finds his first. The Baron is almost dead, secured by Monkeys. Can you say throw? Enclave can, because they find all the kills they need in the Baron.
And once again, the tale for Barrage is they get advantages, but they can't close out with them. They were so close to the finish line. They were on the Nexus. And look at how it's turned around from them already. Great job by Prelude, knocking the members out of the pit. Jakamaki, he couldn't get back in. He couldn't do the damage. They've lost 4 members now. They've lost the Baron, and the siege is going directly in the opposite direction.
25 seconds left, and Jakamaka the only chance of survival for Barrage as the Nexus is now under threat. Inhibitor will fall in just a second. Do Enclave hard commit? No. Their experience says it is not worthwhile their time, or go back to base, ready for the next fight.
And that is the key difference here between Enclave and Barrage. When Barrage saw the Nexus in their sights, they ran directly at it, all guns blazing, and they got pinned down and cut off for it. Enclave, they see a way back into the game. They have the Baron buff. They have the inhibitor down now. They can just slowly close it out methodically, knowing they have an advantage.
Here it is.
Yeah, the Poppy Copter.
It was almost a really good
over.
ultimate from Governor here to hold that off. But with Jakamaka and, of course, Governor out of the fight.
Removes the big frontliner and the big backliner, allows him to completely pin down Zorky as well, the other big damage dealer. And from there, it was just so easy for Eren to get into the pit and clean up. And Bendy, look at him, he's just free hitting on the backline. There's no one stopping him, there's no one threatening him for even a second.
I can't believe that. How does he escape that fight? Akali, she's a fun hero, that's all I'm saying. The Shuriken flip out of the Baron pit to make sure he doesn't move. Holy crap. Alright, well, whilst that was all going on, Barrage were able to find a second Cloud Drake for themselves. 4 Drakes secured. It does give, of course, that win condition of Elder back over to Barrage, meaning this game isn't over.
Plus Elder with 4 Dragon buffs on top of it. That's enough to give you a winning condition.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, Barrage have to be careful that they haven't found themselves in a pincer move. Look at Prelude coming on in. It is going to be Jakamaka the main target. Zorky almost down. Is Zonyard fine for now? Can they turn this fight around? Seb's not in it is the question. It's been a 4 versus 5. Governor's dead. Prelude almost dead himself, but Hado will pull him back. And with this, Enclave so wise. 4 back out of the fight. They don't need to do anything. Prelude can teleport back in. And a 4 versus 5 for the next 40 seconds.
And they want to deny control of the enemy jungle. They want to be able to push the waves deep with this Baron buff and use it to control the game. Look at this. Now they're on the inhibitor tower again.
Zeb just not being in the fight was disastrous for Barrage. Now Enclave are trying to force the issue before Elder even becomes a possibility. Second inhibitor looks like it will fall. Will Enclave hard commit with 16 seconds on the death timer is the question. Potentially not. They're just going to fall back and continue taking little leads where they can find them.
So now that's the 2 inhibitors down. They're forcing Barrage further and further into their base. And they're taking more and more control. But you see, they still have to get rid of these wards from the river. They still need to push the deep vision into the enemy jungle. Then they can utilize that deep vision to close out the game, to make that final play, to make the final team fight happen on their terms in an advantageous situation.
At this point, I'm not sure how a full 5v5 team fight goes. It is pretty crazy. Look at this. We've got a great map showing the vision of this map so far. Yeah. And there is none from the side of Barrage, whereas Enclave have just progressed their wards so deep into the jungle.
Just those 3 pink wards from Barrage. You see just 1 outside the base and the 2 in the river. Beyond that, no vision controlling anywhere on the map. And that's why Enclave are just slowly choking them out. They don't need to force a play hard. They don't need to go over-aggressive. They're just going to do exactly what happened to them versus Misfits and slowly choke the enemy team out of objectives until they can end the game.
Here it is. Final lane now being threatened here by Enclave. Tier 2 turret 4s. For Barrage, you're just kind of wishing the Elder Drake would come sooner. You kind of want that to come online so that you have that chance to teamfight around the pit again.
Unless we see Jakamaka completely go off in a team fight, that is the win condition right now. You can see he's building towards his last item. He's got BF sword, so we could either see the Infinity Edge to go all in on that last crit, or of course the GA to try and stay alive in the situation where Aaron's jumping on top of him. So he needs to be a hard carry. He needs to buy them the time to get that Elder Drake, or at least compete for it.
ENCLAVE continuing the siege. Minions about to crash on in towards the top side. It's a bloody big wave as well. ENCLAVE will be split in their duty here, as Governor, of course, will have to try and deal with it with Jakamaka as quickly as possible.
And there's the Infinity Edge from Jakamaka. He is at full items, only needs to sell the boots for his next item. And he's gone for the crit, so he needs that late game damage build for Illusion. Baron
will join us in 2 minutes' time. ENCLAVE want to make sure they find this inhibitor turret before that. Great little stop up on the Oppie ult here.
Means he doesn't get the cooldown refund either.
Anvil's Hammer now not in this fight. That's been a huge point for ENCLAVE. And here comes the Maokai ultimate to try and root up, but no one's going to be caught in it. ENCLAVE able to escape. Mid lane inhibitor about to respawn as well. Potentially they've just waited out enough.
Zorky.
Oh, here comes the ultimate from the Talia. Zorky able to catch a couple out, but the Varus ult immediately comes through, rooting up 2. The fight so far split up, but a huge ultimate will knock everyone out.
Again,
Can ENCLAVE get on in? Here it comes. Gonna be the engage. Huge 3-man ultimate on the backline, but still Barrage are forced back into their base by ENCLAVE because Bendy is untouched on the backline, and Eren could clean this up in a heartbeat. The inhibitor falls in the bot side. Looks like the mid lane inhibitor is going to fall as well. A Nexus turret has dropped due to the giant minion wave in the top lane, and ENCLAVE leave with objectives secured.
They got a lot of gold in their pockets from taking those towers and getting all those minions, so they want to try and get that last buy-in before they can go back in for the final push. You can see Poppy likely to be finishing that Thorn Mail, just a couple last little item spikes, and that will mean that this is the final push as far as they can see it. 3 inhibitors down. There looks to be almost no way back for Barrage. And after a game that started so well early on, after a game in which they earned so heavy advantages, for it to come back and turn this way is absolutely heartbreaking for the side of Barrage.
Barrage now with only a couple of desperation plays in their belt due to the fact that minions will threaten so heavily, with 3 Baron up waves pushing. ENCLAVE, Baron to take whenever they want to, the Elder Drake to secure if they feel like it. Of course, with no Drakes of their own, they might not even worry about it.
Oh, Seb, you poor thing. He's built Abyssal Mask because he's just so desperate to stay alive in these fights.
Frontline Orianna at this point.
Like, his ultimate does about the same damage as a Brawl ult at this point.
Here comes Governor. Maybe an attempt at an engage coming through from Barrage. Haddo, the one they found. Oh, great. They might even be able to kill him here. Greyholt. It's popped. The shield is there. Barrage now with the bot laner, the support down. Potentially they want to start up this Baron, but
they're holding them out of the base against 3 waves of super minions. As long as they can hold them out of the base, they are going to win.
That's not what you want to be, my friend. Tankius remember. They've knocked Prelude back. Here comes that
huge chain.
Huge chain. Everyone rooted. This fight is just so well timed by ENCLAVE. They don't even care. The base is just being flooded by super minions. And of course, Barrage have to fall back because the Nexus turret is about to go, at least in the top side.
Another free Baron. That's exactly what they wanted on the play.
Beautiful stuff from ENCLAVE. Dancing like a true Madonna.
Barrage, they commit way too hard onto the Baron there. They've lost 3 inhibs. They don't have the ability to contest that. They don't have the time to contest that. And now look at it, the second Nexus Tower has fallen, and they all have to collapse back, having used so many of their resources just to try and contest that Baron. They lost everything, and only their inhibitors in top lanes respawned.
Only ultimate left is, of course, Seb's Shockwave. Governor respawns. Of course, Jakamaka will have his as well, but at this point it doesn't even matter, because with 3 inhibitors down, super minions in each wave, and a Baron to buff them all up, this is ENCLAVE's final push.
This entire game turned on that one little instance of over-aggression from Barrage. We said the Enclave, they stayed in this game by punishing the mistakes of Barrage. They weren't the proactive team. And once they got a lead, they didn't even have to play proactively then. They just pushed the waves in and reset.
The engage coming through. It is going to be Zorky knocked out of the fight. Here comes Eren onto the backline. Jakamaka half health, but he finds the kill before escaping potentially. They're turning this around. Can Barrage take this? Jakamaka, can he find it? Bendy able to take down the backline. A double kill for Bendy. Make that a triple. Zorky in the middle of where he doesn't want to be. It is a quadra. It is going to be the pentakill for Bendy. Game 1, ENCLAVE.
And he He avenges Rifty, gets the penta for himself. And in the huge final team fight, once again, he wasn't threatened. There was never any threat at any point in the game onto him, consistently in fights, untouched, on the backline, while Jakamaka, he has to go in so close to the Akali, so close to these big threats to do any damage. On the other side, it just ends up being bursted to pieces by Andy Bendy, and an easy cleanup for him, an easy pentakill.
I don't even know what I'm seeing at this point. Barrage looking competitively dominant in the early game, but experience matters, and Enclave had that.
I'm sad. Barrage should have won. Like, literally, if they'd timed the Talia wall differently, they would have won. Like, if they'd waited for more people to spawn, put them behind the Talia wall, they'd won. Look, no team goes away super happy with that. Enclave should have been looking for a dominating performance, didn't have it. Yeah. Barrage had a great performance, didn't get rewarded for it because they just slightly mistimed. I wouldn't even call it overeager. I think that was the right call. They just slightly mistimed how they laced the autos together. They got pushed
too early.
I think it was as well. They didn't throw people out. They didn't. They only zoned one off instead of the 5 they could have.
Let's have a look at the damage of that game, because Bendy with a huge performance. I criticized that his AD carry so far in the Forge of Champions has looked inconsistent.
But so great that he's able to step up at 30 minutes. Like, sorry, that's not good enough.
With so many of these AD carries, though, if you don't pay attention to them, if you don't put enough threat on them, they're free to take over the late game teamfights. This is an AD on-hit Varus. With that Gwinstu's Rage Blade completed, with all the damage he has in the late game, he just has the ability to shred through a front line and then just crit the backline to death with that Infinity Edge.
Okay, they should have lost. It was way too late. Like, yeah, great, they managed to turn it around, but, like, realistically, they should never have gotten that chance.
Man, I feel like I've got an angel and a demon on my shoulder here. This is great on the desk. Here's that last team fight. It looked so close, the start of it for Barrage, but Bendy untouched once more on the backline is exactly where you want to be.
He's just completely free this entire fight. And this isn't really the fact that Bendy's playing particularly well. He's doing what an AD carry should do.
You know what's great?
Nothing really particularly special. It's just he is a late game AD carry doing free damage on the backline.
You know what's great for zoning immobile AD carries? Not tank Ori. You know, the actual damage build that you're supposed to build in mid laners, that stuff's great. In fact, most people seem to be all on board for that kind of build.
Are you saying this is the 1 out of 10 doctor that doesn't agree?
This is,
we found him, guys!
Yeah, this is, I don't know, dude. Like, this guy should not be practicing.
That was, honestly, the Abyssal Mask was very, very questionable. He wasn't under the huge threat of the Akali through the entire fight.
Even if he was.
Only when he was out of position that he was caught out by the Akali.
But my point, even if he was, at least you get damage off before you die. Now you just die and do nothing.
Yeah, like I said, it did about the same damage as a Braum ultimate in the late game. There was no point in actually having the Orianna on the composition. All it was a bit of CC. It might as well have been Orianna support by that point in the game. So it kind of was reminiscent to me of Doinb when he plays things like Tank Kassadin. He goes for Abyssal Mask into Iceborne Gauntlet. At least Kassadin has mana ratios. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, at least Kassadin's a disruptor.
Yeah.
Orianna's disruption relies on her ultimate, which surprisingly doesn't do much damage if you don't build damage. I don't know. There's so many things to question that game, and I think Enclave don't avoid the questioning themselves.
Tilted.
I mean, I feel like I'm tilted on behalf of all these players because I mean, Barrage should have won, first off. Enclave shouldn't have been allowed back in. They managed to turn around based on that. Realistically, a lot of this also comes down to leaving the Akali up. Yes, it gave you the Talia. Was that what was winning you the game? While it had a good performance, I don't think necessarily that was it. I think you could have had similar performances on other things. I'm not sure.
I mean, early
game, you can disagree with that.
I feel like there was a lot of threat coming through from the jungle. Of course, the Talia War was the main aspect of how they were able to get that threat down there. One question for Enclave, they've subbed in Prelude because Rift is not feeling 100%. Potentially, you know, his wrists are acting up again.
He's been sharing scrim time. He's still on the
sharing
bench,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
they can definitely have the option.
Early game, that teleport back into lane opened up so many options for Barrage as well.
I would argue that that's a lack of communication because it's you teleport back to lane while your bot lane is pushing. You're asking for a play like that to be made. So if you communicate as the top lane, look, I've been forced back, I'm going to have to TP, your bot lane should know, okay, we're going to have to reset this wave.
Maybe that shows a lack of experience from Prelude, really, not thinking...
Well, maybe not experience, but just communication.
Yeah, exactly.
Team communication.
Whether that's experience or whether that's
synergy with
one or all of... It's hard to say exactly who didn't communicate that or whether it was just a lack of response.
And I don't want to harp on that because I felt like Prelude's performance was game-winning this game.
He knocked a lot of key people
A lot
away.
of his ultimates in this game were the reasons ENCLAVE got back in because...
They won that Baron fight purely off of the back that he landed that two-man
copycat. Like, even though that's a talking point, this is not to you know, hammer Prelude to a cross because honestly, I felt like he was the win condition.
Like I was saying earlier,
for a lot of that mid game.
It's so easy for everybody to just point at him and go, "He's the only difference. That's why it's bad." But you can look at the jungle performance as well, getting so hard pressured out early. And we said that Talia needs some time to really gain that pressure. Doesn't matter if the opposing jungle does absolutely nothing for the first 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think the only thing we saw really going well for ENCLAVE was all the solo plays in the mid lane as well.
Yeah.
And also, I'd be looking down towards bot lane. They were, first of all, heavy punished, but then there wasn't the vision there to help them out. That's between the jungle and the bot lane. Even the mid lane, now that you have that huge amount of pressure coming out for Akali, should have been helping you out there. Yeah,
I felt like that was another talking point. Eren, roaming ability, didn't quite hit the mark on the Akali. One mid lane, and then pressured the top side for the rest of the game until team points happened. It is 1-0 to ENCLAVE. They are able to weather the barrage storm. We'll have to find out if they can continue it, though. We'll throw it to a short break when we do return. Game 2.